Okay, if your head is spinning from all the AI news just this past week, well, you're definitely not alone.
Hmm.
It feels like models are shrinking, regulations are exploding. The sheer pace is kind of staggering.
It really is. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose every single day.
Yeah, less like a normal product cycle and maybe more like, I don't know, a micro revolution happening every few days.
Absolutely. It's chaos, but, fascinating chaos if you're trying to keep track.
Yeah.
Our sources this week covered, well, everything.
Right.
The science breakthroughs changing how models are even built, the intense market battles for workplace tools, and then all the geopolitical stuff, the ethical fallout from generative media. It's a lot.
And that's really our mission today. We want to cut through that noise for you. We've gone through a mountain of sources to pull out the really critical shifts you need to grasp.
So we're focusing on what makes AI smarter and cheaper, that whole enterprise race for dominance, and maybe most urgently, the security risks that are popping up right now.
Exactly. So where do we start? The science seems foundational here.
We have to start with the science, definitely. Because the core belief, the dogma of AI for years has been challenged, seriously challenged,
dogma is that?
that bigger is always better. Bigger model, smarter AI. That was the simple equation.
And that's not true anymore.
Well, it's certainly not the only truth anymore. That assumption is, I'd say, officially obsolete this week.
Okay, let's unpack that. We've heard so much about these huge trillion parameter models, but you're saying the real action is maybe smaller, more efficient.
Precisely. Look at the tiny recursive model from Samsung, TRM.
TRM. Okay. Why is its size the main story?
Because it's tiny. Just 7 million parameters.
7 million, not billion.
Million. We're talking, what, 10,000 times smaller than some of the big players out there?
Wow.
And yet, it achieved really standout reasoning performance, specifically on complex iterative stuff like Sudoku puzzles. It actually beat those huge models.
That's kind of mind-blowing because that's not just about saving money on compute, right? It suggests architectural cleverness can actually beat brute force.
That's exactly it. If you don't need a giant multi-million-dollar supercomputer cluster to get high-level reasoning, well, that changes who can access and build advanced AI. It lowers the barrier to entry massively.
It democratizes it in a way.
Absolutely. And this whole philosophical shift, it's pushing research away from the standard transformer architecture that, basically runs everything today.
Okay, yeah. Our sources mentioned some new approaches, xLSTMs, and something called artificial hippocampus networks. How big a deal are those, practically speaking?
They could be huge. The xLSTM, think of it as like a next-gen version of older sequence models, LSTMs.
Yeah.
But they're reportedly faster, more efficient, cheaper than transformers.
So better performance, less power.
That's the claim. And the artificial hippocampus networks, those are fascinating. They're specialized just for memory.
Like giving the AI its own dedicated RAM almost, but optimized for holding context.
Exactly like that. Instead of one giant model trying to do everything, researchers are building specialized parts, mimicking cognitive functions, you could say.
Yeah.
Makes the whole system way more efficient.
Interesting. But, okay, while these efficient little guys are emerging, the big players, they're still duking it out on the benchmarks, right? Who's winning the raw intelligence race this week?
Oh, yeah. The benchmark wars are absolutely brutal. Google's Gemini 2.5 DeepThink, it just posted top scores on FrontierMath.
FrontierMath. That tests deep mathematical reasoning and, like, dynamic web stuff.
Correct. Multi-step problems. But the really big one for general AI capability is the ARC-AGI Semi-Private benchmark. Complex problem solving.
Yeah, who took that one?
OpenAI's GPT-5 Pro claimed the highest verified score there. So the takeaway is just, wow. Reasoning capability is accelerating faster than we've seen since LLMs first burst onto the scene.
And it's not just text anymore. These models are getting specialized, understanding structure, not just words.
Right. Look at Meta's Code World model. They're trying to get past treating code like just a sequence of text characters.
How so?
They want it to understand the structure, the grammar, the syntax, the relationships within the code itself. Think about translating language versus understanding the grammatical rules behind it.
That's a huge leap for actually automating software development.
Yeah. Massive. And then you've got vision models, too, like Moondream 3 Shipping, a powerful 9 billion parameter model for real-world vision tasks.
So if that's the lab, how does all this speed and efficiency translate into the business world? What's happening there?
It translates into one thing, a race for market domination, pure and simple.
Okay, let's shift gears then, from the lab to the office. These technical leaps feed straight into the enterprise battleground. You mentioned ChatGPT's scale earlier. How big is it now, and what's OpenAI's big play?
The scale is just immense. Over 800 million active weekly users. That's the latest number.
800 million. Wow.
But the strategy is the key. They're explicitly positioning ChatGPT not just as a cool app, but as an all-in-one AI operating system.
An operating system. So they want to be the main interface. Like if I want to code or write or shop, I do it through ChatGPT, which then connects to other apps, bypassing Windows or Mac OS.
That's the vision. They want to own that foundational layer of interaction, which naturally just pours gasoline on the cloud war's fire.
Right, because if ChatGPT is the OS, Google and Amazon have to respond forcefully to keep their enterprise foothold. How are they doing that?
Head-to-head. Google just launched Gemini Enterprise. It's built with no-code tools, advanced models, and critically, it integrates with the systems businesses already use. Even rival systems like Microsoft 365, Salesforce.
So Google's saying stick with your current setup, we'll plug right in.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And Amazon's taking a similar tack with QuickSuite. Their angle is intense focus on workflow automation.
How's Amazon differentiating?
Sheer breadth of integration. They're launching with connections to over 1,000 business tools right away. They want to weave AI into basically every automated process a company might have.
And this push is already having real effects in specific industries, right? Let's look at healthcare, for example. Always bogged down in admin.
Yeah, healthcare is seeing some tangible benefits finally. Microsoft's Claims Denial Navigator that's helping rural hospitals who often struggle with resources fight insurance denials faster. It eases a huge financial burden.
That's significant.
And then Glass Health launched a clinical-grade developer API. That means other apps, even small startups, can embed reliable, evidence-based medical reasoning directly into their tools. Instantly deploys specialist knowledge.
That's powerful. And what about robotics and automation? We saw Google and Mercedes-Benz are putting Gemini AI into cars by late 2025. That sounds ambitious.
It's a huge commitment. The goal is way beyond simple voice commands, proper intelligent assistance in the car. But just as important is how robots are trained.
What's changing there?
MIT unveiled a generative AI platform for training robots in virtual environments, realistic ones.
So instead of slowly teaching a physical robot,
you train a virtual one super fast, simulate tasks, behaviors. It drastically cuts down the time and cost to develop robots that can handle complex, real-world jobs. Game changer.
And back in the consumer world, adoption is just exploding. Sources said 60% of shoppers expect to use AI agents for online buying within the next year.
60%. It's becoming embedded in everything from how companies audit finances to you clicking buy online.
But that speed, that rush to integrate AI everywhere, that leads us straight into the really thorny issues, doesn't it? The controversies, the ethics.
Absolutely. The tech is just running so far ahead of our ability to manage it. It's creating a trust crisis.
Let's talk generative media. Sora, OpenAI's video tool, went viral almost instantly.
Historically viral. 1 million downloads in just 5 days. And they immediately show the commercial power by partnering to let people make videos with Mark Cuban's likeness. Digital identity creation is here. It's commercial.
But the backlash was just as fast. Copyright, misinformation. Hollywood wasn't pleased.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Studios protested heavily, seeing Sora made videos using copyrighted characters. That basically forced OpenAI to quickly roll out an IP opt-in policy.
Opt-in, okay.
Meanwhile, you've got public figures like Trevor Noah sounding the alarm, warning these tools could just flood the zone with deepfakes, eroding trust in anything we see online, damaging authentic expression.
And the legal headaches for these companies must be huge, right? Especially around the data used to train these things in the first place.
Oh, massive potential liability. Billions in copyright claims are hovering over OpenAI related to training data. And there were reports about legal scrutiny ramping up because internal messages surfaced allegedly discussing the deletion of a data set that might have contained pirated books.
So the legal system is digging into where this training data actually came from.
They are actively probing. And this trust issue, it's not just external. It's happening inside companies too, leading to some really scary security gaps.
How so? What are employees doing?
The numbers are pretty stark. One report found 77%, 3/4 of employees accidentally expose confidential company data using ChatGPT.
77%. That's...
Wow. It's an urgent data governance crisis.
Yeah.
People are using these incredibly powerful tools without fully understanding the security implications, or maybe without the right guardrails in place.
And the threats are getting more sophisticated than just careless mistakes. We heard about things like shadow AI agents.
Yeah, a shadow agent is basically an AI tool or service, often cloud-based, that employees use without IT knowing or approving it.
So it's operating outside the company's security net.
Completely. ingesting company data,
Hmm.
doing tasks, totally unsupervised from a security perspective, huge risk. And then there's this other exploit, Camel-leak, found in GitHub Copilot.
Camel-leak. How does that work? How does it leak internal stuff?
It's a bit technical, but the gist is Copilot is trained mostly on public code. Camel-leak finds ways to trick Copilot into suggesting code snippets that are actually proprietary internal code that somehow got mixed into its training data or context.
So it basically regurgitates trade secrets through code suggestions.
Effectively, yeah. Accidentally leaking sensitive data right into a developer's project.
Which brings us neatly to the final big area of tension: geopolitics and regulation. This whole AI race is now down to the wires, literally, the infrastructure.
You need unbelievable amounts of hardware for this. We saw Microsoft and NVIDIA showing off their new GB300 NVL72 supercluster, just setting a new bar for training massive models.
And OpenAI is working with AMD on chips too.
Right. Everyone wants custom silicon, optimized for their specific needs. It's driving huge investments, but also stressing global supply chains.
And speaking of global tensions, China made a move related to that.
They did. Signaled pushback on U.S. export rules for chips, sure, but also restricted exports of high-energy lithium battery materials.
Why batteries? How does that connect to AI?
Because those specific batteries are critical for advanced robotics and drones. It's potentially a strategic jab at the supply chain needed for the physical AIs of the future. Robots, autonomous systems.
Interesting. Okay, on the regulation front itself, it feels like companies are trying to self-regulate while also pointing fingers at each other.
It's a bit contradictory, isn't it? OpenAI puts out reports saying its newer models, GPT-5 Instant and Thinking, are 30% less politically biased. That's trying to address public concern proactively.
Right.
But at the same time, OpenAI is urging EU regulators to investigate Microsoft, Google, Apple for potentially anti-competitive practices. So the regulatory fight is as much internal industry squabbling as it is about public safety right now.
While actual laws are starting to form, at least at the state level in the U.S.
Yeah, California looks set to pass some first-of-their-kind laws, requiring chatbots to clearly state they aren't human, banning AI from promoting harmful content to kids. These are important precedents. They'll likely shape future federal rules.
And finally, we can't ignore the stark reality of this tech being used in conflict zones.
No, the sources are clear. Both Ukrainian and Russian forces are using AI-powered drones. Drones capable of identifying targets and attacking autonomously.
Autonomous attacks.
That militarization is probably the most urgent driver for needing serious international oversight. Fast. Because the line between a human giving the order and the machine deciding, it's getting very blurry, very quickly.
So stepping back from this whirlwind week, it really feels like two parallel stories, almost opposites, running at full speed.
It does.
On one hand, these incredible science gains, efficiency, new architectures, proving smaller can be smarter, cheaper, real breakthroughs.
Yeah, genuine progress in the fundamentals.
And on the other hand, just escalating, immediate risks. Security failures like that 77% data leak statistic, legal battles over training data, ethical nightmares with deepfakes, and this global strategic competition spilling over into things like battery materials.
Innovation on hyperdrive. Governance stuck in first gear.
Yeah.
That's the tension.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on, going back to that very first point about efficiency and reasoning. Some researchers are arguing now that a lot of what we call reasoning in these advanced AI models, it isn't some deep philosophical insight emerging.
Right. What are they suggesting it is instead?
It's more about the effective use of compute power at inference time. Things like smart planning, logical backtracking, the model knowing when and how to activate latent abilities it already has. Essentially, really good calculation and resource management.
So reasoning is highly optimized computation, not necessarily understanding.
Exactly. And if the key to AI matching complex human expertise in medicine, law, engineering, whatever, is primarily about getting really good at that optimized computation, that planning, rather than waiting for some magical spark of consciousness.
Then what does that imply about the timeline? How fast could AI replicate expertise across almost any field if it's mostly an engineering problem of effective computation?
If genius is just better planning, what human skills remain truly safe? Something for you to think about after processing this quite astonishing week.